Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu relates is that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a woman is married for one of four reasons: wealth, beauty, and lineage. We know the famous hadith, تنكح المرأة الأربع لمالها ولجمالها ولحسبها, family nobility. فَاظْفُرْ بِذَا, and religious, with deen, piety. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used the term deen here, right? He said, فَاظْفُرْ بِذَاتِ deen, so choose the pious one, or may your hands be covered with dust. So this was like a reprimanding statement the Prophet ﷺ gave. He's not actually given a badwa, but he's reproaching that if you do not prioritize the religiousness, if you don't prioritize the deen, then your hands will be rubbed in dust. In other words, you'll regret it afterwards. Now let's go into the details. What did the Prophet ﷺ mean by when he said the deen? Why prioritize the deen? These are the reasons. Number one, consciousness of accountability with Allah. The reason why we prioritize the deen is because, and deen here, by the way, is not just talking about a person praying salah, or somebody's dress code is Islamic, or they pray salah, they pray Quran, they do dhikr. Not just that, but the whole conduct is Islamic. The way they behave towards one another, okay, their character, their moral ethics, their decorum, their disposition, their conduct towards other people, right? All that is deen, because in marriage, what matters the most is how you behave towards one another. Behave towards one another, honoring and respecting one another. So consciousness of accountability with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, that when the husband and wife, when they are together, the wife serving her husband and the husband serving his wife, showing mercy upon his wife and fulfilling his duty responsibility, they should do this with this consciousness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. The very first, the three verses that are recited during the nikah ceremony, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلق من نفس واحدة يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. These are the three verses that are recited. You notice in any of these three verses, the word nikah is not even mentioned. The word nikah is not even mentioned. But what is the word that's constantly repeated? Can you take a guess? What is it? In these three verses, what's the word that's repeated? Is taqwa, consciousness. Yes, exactly. You pointed it out. Taqwa. Why? Is because when you're living together, husband and wife, there are many things that goes on in the four walls of the home that nobody knows besides you two, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Even at that particular moment, you have to adopt taqwa. Unfortunately, there are many cases, many men as well as women, that outside they put on a religious face, but when they're at home, they put on a monster face. What I mean by that is their akhlaq is completely different. They show that they're religious, they're pious, they're honest outside to different people, but when they're inside their own homes, the man is either doing zulm on his wife, he's swearing at his wife, he's ridiculing his wife, or the wife, for example, that she is very sharp on her tongue, she's debasing her husband, she's debasing her husband, she's ridiculing her husband, she's and demeaning a husband, but yet they wear the hijab and they pray salah. There are many, for example, there may be an abba or an alim, for example, okay, may have this kind of trait, God forbid. So consciousness is not just showing to people how religious you are outside, but also religiousness even at home. In fact, you need to be more religious at home. You need to be more conscious that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Whatever happens in the four walls of your bedroom, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. So adopt consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you all agree with me? Like to hear from you in the chat box. In the chat box. Okay, honoring your spouse and averting harm. By prioritizing the deen, you honor and respect your spouse and avert harm. You will never do zulm on your spouse. Remember this statement I mentioned about Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu? What did he say in the beginning? Which I mentioned in the beginning. What did he say? Why adopt the taqwa? Because if a man, if he loves his wife, he will honor and respect her. But if he does not love her, then he will not do zulm on her at least. Yes, being positive role model for children. Having the deen, you set as a positive role model for your children, and Islamic nurturing of children. Goes back to the same point I mentioned. The deen not only impacts your marriage, but it impacts your children. Now, this is a criteria chart, and just to mention that this is something that I've done arbitrarily. This is based on my understanding. I've not done any rigorous scientific evidence behind this. So that's why I've not put any figures. But let's just try to uh, um, put this into perspective. Now, these are the common qualities that people look out for. Common attributes. They look at family background, they look at physical description. If the mashallah, the brother, if he's muscular, if he's 5'7", he's muscular, mashallah. He's not obese, or he's not like chubby, for example. He's got the muscles, for instance. Or the sister, mashallah, she's got the slim body, for example, or she's got the height, or she's very attractive. So mashallah, she's got fair face, things like that. I'm sure you know what I mean. That all falls the physical description. Then you have education and qualification. Then there's employment and finances. So, and then you have the deen and character. So if you were to take the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, put it into perspective, this is what it looks like. So family background, yes, that does have some kind of significance. People do prefer a girl or a boy marrying within their own ethnicity. Why? Because of communication, and it's easier for the person to mingle within the family. Physical description, yes, I'm not going to discount that. Yes, physical attraction is important. Okay, a man wants to be physically attracted to his wife. A wife wants to be physically attracted to her husband. Yes, so looks do matter to an extent, but put things into perspective. Yeah. But then you have education qualification. You notice that the color is very small compared to the others. Why? Because education qualification, that has the least impact, that has the least concern when it comes to marriage, because it has no impact in terms of marriage. And I'm sorry to say this, I'll have to be very clear and blunt as it is. Doesn't matter whether you got a degree, doesn't matter whether you got a master's, doesn't matter whether you got PhD. When it comes to marriage, these things don't mean anything. Yes, even when a person becomes an alim or a scholar, to an extent it does, but that's not the only thing that defines a person. Whether you're an alim or whether you're a mufti, that does not define who you are. It's your character itself that defines who you are. Then you have employment and finances. Yes, you need to have some kind of stability. So you notice the colors here, you notice the quantity here, that there's a variation in that. So some may have more importance over the other, but if you look at the deen, this is three quarters of the circle. Your whole marriage is based on this, your deen and character, how you are as an individual. That's why, honesty, trustworthy, respect, empathy, appreciation, validation. These are the qualities that people want, don't they? A woman wants to be appreciated. A woman wants to be, husband wants to be validated. A husband like a woman, a wife likes to be treated with kindness. A husband, he wants to be treated with loyalty and respect. These family background, physical description, education, and employment finances, they're not going to teach you all that. It's the deen that embeds these positive qualities. Yes. So I hope this has put things in perspective here.